news reporting, right? And in fact, mobile social is actually leading on a lot of the major media. I just talked to guys up in Rockford, and they did that campaign that said, come hide out in Rockford, because the legislators in Wisconsin were sneaking over and hiding out in Rockford, Illinois. So they created a campaign. And the first thing they said is, we got it on Twitter, we got it on all of our social media, and that's when the big media picked it up. So it's almost reverse of what it used to be. Increasing reliance. And again, social media is something we're still trying to get our hands around, because, of course, we don't know if social media really impacts inspiration. That's what we're trying to figure out. In fact, we're working with Peter Yesowich to try to determine, is that the great influencer? Do people go to Facebook to determine where to go? We think that they share experiences, and that might be the inspiration down the road, but we're trying to figure this part out, but this is really big. I want to just play this for you, tell you how confusing this is.
YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook will merge to form one super time-wasting website called ICHRIE.
I think you get a feel of how confusing this is. We're not really sure where it's going to go, because they say just on Twitter, only 20% of it is relevant. I mean, so you think about the hundreds of millions of conversations that are going on. But what's happening, too, is peer-to-peer reviews. You know, this is huge. Now the third largest web category out there are peer-to-peer reviews. TripAdvisor gets anywhere from 6 to 12 million page views a month. So somebody can go in and have the runny egg at the hotel and then go in and say, this is what I experienced. And somebody else is going to go in there, and it may influence their travel. So really, people are, you know, redefining the way we communicate and the way we market. I'll give you one other one that's kind of fun here on the new communications. Just shows you how complex this is.
Guys, we need to talk. I know we're back at school now, but you're going a little overboard with the new phones.
Yeah.
Mom, just because we're Facebook friends does not mean you can write I love you all over my wall.
You know what? Other people can see that.
Dad, cool it with the Twitter updates, okay?
I'm sitting on the patio.
I know you're sitting on the patio.
You know, it's crazy out there, right? And we're trying to figure out how to sell and market in this world. You know, you've got all this going on. You don't know how to break in. I don't think meeting planners anymore will take a phone call. I mean, essentially, you just send them an email, you get to them some other way, and then you'll hear back from them at 2 a.m. in the morning or something. It's crazy business out there. I thought this was really very perceptive of what's going on right now. We're in an era of marketing by collaboration, where consumers take your message, instantly evaluate it, and then reshape it online. That's the great paradigm is, how do you market anymore? How do you market without feeling like you're marketing? How do you get other people to market for you? That's really where this industry is going, and becoming very confusing as we go on. The hotel experience, of course, this is how we battle back. You're in the tough times, so what do? We give you resort fees, furniture fees, hotel cleaning fees, energy fees. We want to make sure you're really loaded up with some fees before you leave. But the other thing, I put this on here because Peter Yesowich says it could be a big issue. It could be the next swine flu. I don't understand why you're so upset. This hotel has the cleanest bed bugs in town. Trust me, there is a survey that says 30-some% of people are concerned about that when they're traveling. So I think, you know, we're worried about it. We're not making an epidemic right now, but I think it's something. And from what I understand, there are some companies who are instigating this, and those are companies, obviously, who try to solve your problems for you. But this could be an issue for all of us in the hotel business. Airlines, of course, the experience, it's all carry-on luggage, but I'll take several trips for me to carry this all on. How many of you been there, right? You've seen, I mean, it's ridiculous what we go through. The airline baggage fees, pillow fees, they're talking about kids' fees, putting kids in different areas. You pay more if you don't want to be around a kid. You know, so it is a crazy time. So you can imagine, here is Richard and his 60 people trying to sell a destination, right? And here are how you're getting helped. You know, you're getting helped through that experience. And, of course, when we finally get them in our city, they are so mad at everybody. So we have a lot to overcome. And I'm just going to, this brings new definition to overhead luggage. Have you done that? some guy's got his head in there. So he was standing next to him with his head in the thing. You can't see. I apologize for that. But we've gotten back at him, right? We can create a blog, flightsfromhell.com. So once again, you know, you can go out as someone who has been damaged by some service, and you can go out there and you can tell. So social communities are really linking into news feeds, and they are really shaping the dynamic of the product you offer. And as you know, a lot of hotels and different services are spending a lot of time responding to the sentiment that you get across the social media lines. And then, of course, as we put travel online, that's something that's really affected us, that they're changing how the product was priced. They're changing how they buy it, the timing of it. We all wonder, you know, why we get a better deal if we book 2 days out, and then the hotels wonder why they can't forecast. Well, we've driven them there. We've driven them there because we said if you wait long enough, we'll put it cheaper. So we've always, what about traveling on Saturday nights, right? The airline said, so you got to have a Saturday night stay to bring your price down. So guess what? Every convention either is a Wednesday, Sunday, or Sunday, Wednesday. So we train everybody how to do this, and that's what's happening. But the interesting part is the online piece has changed the distribution channels. It's changed the cost. Consumers to continue to evolve and exercise their new leverage. And this is something that's not going to go away. It is not going to go away, and it's going to impact us. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But I just wanted to give you a little idea of what we do, how we measure, how I hope that we engage with all of you, because we feel like we're good partners, and our colleges and universities here locally and in the state are good partners with us. And just want to give you a little idea of some of the challenges that we face with every day in our industry. So thank you very much. Gibson. Any questions you may have or comments? Yes.
How has the new governor affected tourism?
He is a gem. Now, Governor Hickenlooper sat on our board for 12 years, and he resigned from our board to run for mayor. And he was one of the most popular mayors, and I would really call him a convention and tourism mayor. The day he got elected, so you can imagine, you know, a brew pub owner in Lodo, lower downtown, gets elected as mayor. He called at 6:30 a.m. and said, I will be there for your breakfast with a meeting planner, who was going to be booked in 2013 at the time, and he literally showed up in 2013 to welcome the group. So that's the kind of person he is. He's a big supporter of tourism, and I think he's going to be a great governor. Yes?
You mentioned bed bugs. We're all got our mind on the deficit and what's going on in Washington. What keeps you up at night?
You know, I think I'll just kind of piece it out here. I think for me, on the convention side, there's a lot of supply across the country right now. You know, we've built a lot of convention centers, and the demand has been relatively flat. So those who are doing well are doing it at the expense of someone else. I do believe that on the convention side. On the convention side, what keeps me up is that as the associations, we've kind of plateaued out as U.S. domestic. We have to go international to find our attendees, and I think that's very important for association. On the corporate side with the federal government, there's a lot of people that are, you know, we're talking double-dip recession every 3 months. How do you run a business when you're worried about double-dip recession? And then if you're the government and you want to save money, what do you say? Don't travel. It's terrible. That's the piece. On the leisure side, just bottom line, if people are worried about putting a house or a roof over their head, how do they feel about going and spending $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on travel? It's very difficult. So I think that's what keeps me up, is that, you know, even in the good times and the bad time, our mission doesn't change, and I feel like we're humping it every day. I mean, I really wake up and say, how do I continue to drive demand? How do I drive demand? Because it's very competitive. Yes?
How much do you do in the way of economic impact testing for events?
Good question. How much do we do on testing for economic impact testing on events? We do a lot of it. I think, you know, that's, and we require, if somebody comes to us and says, we want to partner with you, we ask them to bring us some statistic, or we go in it together, and then we'll grow it together. You know, the beer festival is a perfect example, is that that's something that we don't get signed contracts for the number of rooms, because people are just basically leisure travelers signing up, but we're selling out. So we've actually done our own analysis. We did surveys with the hotels, and we put some rough numbers to it, and we found out this was a big event. Even though we were only booking the center with them, we found out that they're doing about 8,000 to 9,000 room nights in a weekend. So it became a huge, and we were able to support it in different ways. But we do, Longwoods every year gives us the study and the impact of our visitors. We've got reports for 30 years on how we're doing on visitor traffic, what their economic impact, what they see when they come here, how do they view our products. So we do a lot of studies, a lot of research, a lot of ROI studies as well. Did I see something over here? Okay. Oh, yes. Good question. 10 years ago, we were more in what I would call a regional set. So we competed with, I'm going to say, maybe a San Antonio, a Minneapolis, a Kansas City, St. Louis, a Salt Lake City. And then I would say in the last, 5 to 10 years, we've become what we call a destination set. So it's San Diego, Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago, Boston, because 30% of going forward on our conventions are medical, believe it or not. So this year we have thoracic, we have heart rhythms, we have perioperative nurses that are coming in. So we've kind of moved into what I call a destination where those groups are saying, I'm not going to necessarily rotate east, west, central. I'm just going to go where I think our people want to go. And what people are telling us is we're a new destination for them. So we're getting a lot of play because people, are tired of going to the same old cities every year. The ophthalmologists go to San Francisco, Chicago, Orlando. That's about all they can go to. And there's a lot of people crying out to do something different. That's the other thing that keeps me up. Peter Yesowitz will tell you that even if you do great as a city and perform, visitors might not come back because they want to try something new. And so that keeps you, so you say, oh my God, we did the best job, and you're not coming back. So that kind of keeps us up, and that plays into the convention side because a lot of attendees are saying, I'm kind of tired of the same old city, and I think that's where we've moved up. I think it's a great idea. I really do think it's a great idea because I think what they're trying to do is build around, if you really think about what conventions means to, it's an exchange of culture and ideas and research. You're all here, you're networking, you're being educated. I think that's great. And they're just trying to take another dimension to it in Cleveland. I grew up 2 hours, east of there. And I think it's a way of saying, we're just not going to build a convention center and get in the market with everybody else who's got a convention center. We're going to do something extra special. And I think if you bring in businesses, then you drive demand in hotels outside of conventions, and then, people will vacation. I think it's a really good idea. In fact, I'm trying to talk our National Western Stock Show into looking at something like that and being kind of the epicenter of the agricultural universe. Equestrian, Lexington does it really well down there, but really try to, bring in DuPont and some of these guys that are doing some of these ag programs, and really trying to say, rather than just having a rodeo every year and having a few events, why don't we step it up and, go out to the Poultry Association, go out to Black Angus and some of these other groups, these associations, and say, why don't we try to make a campus and a hub and do something kind of special? So I think that concept, I think, is a good idea. I don't know, are you down there? Are you in Cleveland? Oh, okay. Yeah, it sure is. I know you're the president down